Are you sure? The video seems unavailable. When I'm on the thing. Are we live? Shwet?
Yeah.
You're sure?
Yeah.
Did you send me
Okay.
the link is changed?
Hello everyone. Welcome to TV Newsance Live. There's news, there's sense and there's nuisance. This show is going to be all about feedback from you guys. We have been doing this show for 5 years now. So it's a really long time. Lots of things have changed in the world of TV news in these 5 years. But lots of things have also not changed. We are going to be doing our 200th episode next week. It's going to be a very special episode. I looked at all the feedback that you guys gave and we've taken note of it, and we will have some pleasant surprises for you on our 200th episode. But we thought before we do our 200th episode, we should chat with our viewers, with our subscribers, and ask them what they want us to do and what would they like Nuisance to do. Do they want Nuisance to change? Do they want us to, just 1 second. Is the sound okay? Yeah, okay. Okay. So, so we want to know from you guys what we should do with Nuisance. How should we change it? Do you want the format to be changed? Do you want any new elements to it? Do you want us to do less of Nuisance? Do you want it to be a fortnightly show? Do you want it to be a weekly show? Do you want to continue to make it a weekly show? So we're going to be talking a lot about all of that. And now I'm thinking it's 11. I want to do this chat for 1 hour. And while we wait for people to come, the main purpose of this particular live is that I get feedback from you people. So I want to wait a little bit for more and more people to come. Until then, I thought it will be very interesting to talk to you guys about the Hindenburg research report that has come out this week. It has some sensational revelations, and today morning's papers I looked at. This is the Hindu. Usually I begin my morning by reading 2 newspapers at least, and my choice is English newspapers. I read the Indian Express and I read the Hindu. Now both these newspapers have big Adani ads, front page Adani ads. The Hindu's other front page ad was actually about coaching centers, because a lot of students preparing for IAS do read the Hindu. That is the thing. So the front page ad is a UPSC IAS coaching center, and the other front page ad is Adani on Hindu, and in Indian Express also it's an Adani ad. There have been ads placed in most prominent newspapers today by Adani. If you're following the news, you know why. And let me show you the front page of Indian Express. I'll go through the headlines of it. Says, sweeping sell-off in Adani stocks, group loses rupees 3.37 lakh crore in market cap. And then it talks about crash hits government-owned LIC. Its Adani share value dips 22%. And there's another story that says, experts say may not affect market but deepens anxiety on corporate governance. So this Hindenburg report that has come out has really raised questions on corporate governance. It's raised questions on how Adani functions. And let's talk a little bit about the Adani report, if you guys would like. It's a very technical kind of a subject, so I don't want to get anything wrong, which is why I have my laptop in front of me so I can read some portions of the report to you. Now, the research is by Hindenburg Research Group. We all know Hindenburg Research. I think most of you would know by now, if you've read enough news, that they are an activist short seller. And in very simple terms, what is short selling? It's when you place your bets on a company's shares coming down. It's very simple. I mean, in simple terms, that's how I can explain it. So basically, your strategy is that you aim to profit from a decline in the assets prices. So in short, shorting is that Hindenburg aims to make money by Adani's stock prices coming down, and this is something that they have very clearly stated in their report. And this is a very important point that I think we all should note of, that first and foremost, Hindenburg Research comes with a full disclosure, And it says that after extensive research, we have taken a short position in Adani Group companies through US traded bonds and non-Indian traded derivative instruments. And this report relates to securities traded outside India. This report does not constitute a recommendation on securities. This report represents our opinion and investigative commentary, and we encourage every reader to do their own due diligence. And then they say that please read a full disclaimer at the bottom of the report, and they have a longer disclaimer at the bottom of the report saying that we have investigated for 2 years. This is our investigation, this is our commentary, we have given you citations, we have done on-ground interviews, we've done on-ground reporting for this, and our position is that we are shorting Adani. We believe that it's a bubble waiting to burst, and we're going to make a lot of money if and when that bubble bursts. But you guys make your own mind up. Don't, we are not responsible if this doesn't happen. We are not responsible if you lose money, and don't take this as an investor advice. So, the disclosure very clearly says that you guys should make up your own mind. This is our labor of 2 years of research. Read it and make up your own mind, read the citations, but we are shorting it. So, basically the point to note here is that there is a full disclosure, which I think is very important, and we will talk about disclosures later also when we talk about how the media has reported on Hindenburg, because they are not hiding the fact that they have skin in the game. They are very clearly saying कि भाई हमारे ये position है और हम ये कर रहे हैं. So there is no hidden motive. Shorting is a very regular exercise. There's a very good movie called The Big Short, which you guys should watch. It's really interesting, and it's about the 2007, 2008 crisis, how it was triggered, and you have this guy, the protagonist, so to speak, who's shorting, and the basic, it explains to you what shorting is, and you'll get that basically these guys are spotting bubbles. They expect these bubbles to burst and they expect to make money. So here, Mr. Anderson, who is the founder, Nate Anderson, who is the founder of Hindenburg, believes that with this research that they have put out, with this targeted research on Adani, the stocks will fall and they are going to make a lot of money. So that is shorting, in short. But you can read a lot about this. There's a lot of material on this. There's a lot of explainers on this on YouTube also. If you look at their website, which I'm looking at, they have put out their track record. They, ऐसा नहीं है कि इन्होंने अदानी को या because there can be this narrative that India is getting targeted. That's not the case. They have shorted a bunch of companies. I think close to 16, if I'm not mistaken, on their website. A very famous example is Nikola Motors, whose founder then had to resign after the research was published. There was inquiry against him, and again their shares completely tanked. So that was a successful shorting. There are lots of pieces written on Nate Anderson also. You can read in Financial Times. He's called this master digger, and lots of stuff has been written about him. So it's a fairly well-known entity. It's not some shady operation targeting India or targeting us. What they do is in the public domain. What they aim is also in the public domain, and they've done this and have a reasonably good track record of shorting. Now, this current report is headlined Adani Group, how the world's third richest man is pulling the largest con in corporate history. It's about 100 pages, some 30,000 words. So it's a dense read and it's got lots of citations. So one thing important to note is that it's not just allegations. They're giving you citations for it. And they're saying that we met this, we saw this document, we met this person, we interviewed these people, we downloaded company documents. So 2-year long research, they say, and we have given you citations for everything that we are claiming. So everything is supported with a document or their own on-ground research. And before we go further into what the report says, it's important to say that Adani Group had come out and said that this is malicious, it's timed around our FPO, it is devoid of facts, it's making a lot of baseless assertions, and we are going to exercise legal options. Meanwhile, Hindenburg said that bring it on, we want a legal case, do it in the US, so we have lots of documents, it will, they'll be put out in the public domain. So they have welcomed any legal action, and Adani has put out a rebuttal explaining various things of the report, and basically their thing is that none of this is true and this is to spook the markets, it's maliciously timed, and we don't need to take this seriously. Now, what does the report say? Very quickly, there are lots of pieces on this again, and like I said, I begin my day by reading the Indian Express and the Hindu. So you should also, whenever some big news happens, you should pick up papers. Newspapers provide the best information. They have explainers, they have relevant information, and they don't have any of the noise of TV news debates. So you should pick up newspapers to understand a little bit of what's happening. And so in this report, the first thing that they're saying is that Adani's wealth has doubled in years, and it's mainly backed by an increase in his stock prices. So I'm quoting from the report. It says, Gautam Adani, founder and chairman of Adani Group, has amassed a net worth of roughly $120 billion. And of this $120 billion, they're saying that over $100 billion in the past 3 years he's amassed, which is largely through stock price appreciation. So they're saying it's just stocks rising, and that they're also saying that, and this is something that previously has also been said about Adani. There was a Fitch report which came out that it's over leveraged, it's debt driven. So none of this is not known. A lot of people are saying that ये तो market में भी पता था और ये सबको पता है और इस पे pieces भी हुए हैं कि भाई over leveraged है, debt है. So that aspect of it is fairly known, and that is what the report also says, that even if you don't look at our investigation, just by what's available in the public domain, you would know that these guys are over leveraged. They talk about one interesting rule, which is a rule on float, which says that public listed companies in India are subject to rules that require all promoter holdings to be disclosed. Rule also require that listed companies have 25% of the float held by non-promoters. So in a company, promoters can hold up to 75, and then 25% has to be other investors. It could be, other entities. And what they are saying in this report is that Adani, the entities, publicly listed entities, are very close to that 75% mark, which is not a good, thing, and that they are also breaching that 75% mark. So that is one thing that they are also saying. And I think one interesting bit which Adani has, I'll come to the rebuttal on it, but one important thing that I think they say in the report is they're saying the independent auditor for Adani Enterprise, Adani Total Gas, is a tiny firm called Shah Dhandaria. Shah Dhandaria seems to have no current website, and historical archives of its website show that it has only 4 partners and 11 employees. And they're saying that this company is not capable of auditing work. And Adani Enterprise has 156 subsidiaries. It has joint ventures and affiliates. And the audit partners at Shah Dhandaria, who signed off on Adani Enterprise and Adani Gas's annual audits, were as young as 24, 23-year-olds when they began approving audits. So they're basically saying that there's not proper auditing, which is a very important, it's a red flag basically. It's a question of corporate governance, it's a question of transparency, it's a question of robustness within a company. So this is one claim that they're making. Adani has responded to that, and they have said that we are contemplating of getting big 6, known auditors for Total Gas, and they're saying that within Adani Enterprise, we have engaged big 4s also. Big 4 auditors meaning the companies that are most credible and that can be engaged to audit. So net, that's what they're saying, that it's over leveraged, it's the stock prices are increasing, not because the company is making profit, but because of other reasons. And that this is a bubble, the whole Adani meteoric rise and the shares just galloping. This is a bubble that is waiting to burst. So this is a fairly important story, because as Indian Express tells us, there's LIC which has been impacted. I think a lot of us have LIC policies. There is public sector banks which will be impacted by this, and it is a very important story of corporate governance, because it's one of the biggest conglomerate that we have. Now, how did the media report on it? We have a piece on newslaundry.com. The first thing, obviously, we were very curious to see how did NDTV report on Hindenburg research, and the short answer is they didn't report on it. So NDTV's, today is 28th, until 27th, that is yesterday, we checked the ndtv.com website. It had only 3 stories that it published yesterday itself. They are all Press Trust of India stories. So they are not stories by NDTV. It's not a byline of an NDTV reporter. They have just syndicated it from the Press Trust of India. And it says that, headline says that, Adani Group stock falls continues after allegations. Adani Group looks to invest. No, okay, this is something else. It's invest in Azerbaijan and expansion bit. Ye 26th ko unhone, while all this was happening, The story had broken. They are talking about Adani Group looking to invest in Azerbaijan and expansion bid. There is no detailed story on Hindenburg research, what the allegations are saying. And interestingly, NDTV.com has earlier reported on Hindenburg because like I said earlier, Hindenburg has been shorting many companies. So in fact, if you look at NDTV Profit, Gadget 360, Car and Bike, these are all NDTV entities, they have reported on Hindenburg's research when they shorted Elon Musk's Twitter, when they shorted Nikola Corp, which was a company that I talked about earlier, and Opera. So they have reported on Hindenburg shorting companies. But when it came to Adani, they have not put out anything except for the 3 press trust copies that I am talking about. We all know that Adani ji has majority stake in NDTV now. He had said that it's going to be a global news organization and there will be a very strong Lakshman Rekha between editorial and business, which means that Adani's businesses will not interfere in how NDTV operates. So in this case, I think it's a very big global story, and the coverage has been really lacking. And NDTV, the channel also, there's been no debates on it, there's been no discussions on it. I do think, this is just an assumption, but I do think that of the former NDTV under the Roys, and if Ravish was there, I'm pretty sure that there would have been a prime time by Ravish on what the Hindenburg research report says, and it would have been done in Hindi and it would have reached a lot of people. So I do think that there has been a change, at least in terms of how NDTV has been reporting, or I mean, it's a sign of what may come ahead. Now, another company, another news company, Bqprime, is also set to be acquired by Adani. They have done a better job, I think, even though they are, I mean, they are also, they're going to be acquired by Adani. But they have put out more reports on their website, but with a, I think with a fair amount of, you can say, it's sort of, the headlines at least, the tilt is pro-Adani. So like one of the reports is saying that Adani Group rejects the report, another one says that they're considering legal action, then the third one says that there's a record Adani share sale. A fourth story is a point-by-point rebuttal by the Adani Group to the Hindenburg report, and there's an opinion piece also. I'll tell you who the opinion piece is by. The opinion piece is by Shuli Ren, and says that a short seller sitting in New York may not have unique insights into the intricate workings of developing nations. So, these stories are basically saying that usko kya pata, wo New York mein baith ke short selling kar rahe hai, they don't know the intricacies of what's happening here. And most of these stories are basically presenting the Adani point of view because they're going to be acquired by Adani. So there's a business interest. The good thing about Bqprime is that most of their stories come with a disclaimer. The disclaimer says Adani Enterprise is in the process of acquiring 49% stake in Quintillion Business Media, the owner of Bqprime. So the good thing, I think, and this is what we should expect from the media, even if NDTV has to report on it, they should report on it. I don't think they should ignore it because as we can see, it's on front page. Ignoring a story doesn't mean it will go away. Clearly, if the Adani Group also thinks it's important to place front page ads across newspapers, they also realize that this is a big story and that they can't just wish it away and that it's having a serious impact in the market. So it's important to, you can't just ignore it, it's a foolish strategy. So I think even if NDTV reports on it, it should come with a disclaimer that is a majority shareholder, so that you as the reader can know, okay, ye inka leaning hai, now I'll read everything according from that prism. So Bqprime has done a good job of putting a disclaimer. Just like we talked about Hindenburg, the disclosure clearly said that our position is this, we are shorting them and this is what we believe in, you make up your own mind. So full disclosures in media are very important. Whenever there's a conflict of interest, like in this case, both Adani and Bqprime, Adani has stakes or interests in both NDTV and Bqprime. So it should definitely come with a full disclosure saying that this is what our conflict of interest is, and here are the stories, and you read them, and this is our point of view, and you make up your mind. Ignoring a story definitely doesn't work, and of course everyone will be talking about NDTV today and looking at whether their anchors are reporting it or not. Usual suspects like हमारे प्रिय एंकर्स जो हैं जिनके बारे में हम न्यूसेंस में बहुत बात करें वो क्या कर रहे हैं. लेट्स लुक एट, आई टेल यू, let's look at Times Now, my favorite, RSS and Navika. So they have obviously not reported on this, and their last night's debate was Islamic chants on Republic Day at AMU. So that is what they are discussing. Bharat Jodo Yatra halted in J&K, और RSS का शो है कि PFI Hindu hate exposed, Islamist slogans at AMU. Yeah, so they are still on Islamist slogans and how Hindus are in danger in India, not talking about investors. देश नहीं झुकने देंगे with Aman Chopra. What has he been discussing? तिरंगे के नीचे नारा तकबीर. Again, he's talking about Islamic chants. And he's talking about मोदी की क्लास छात्रों में बड़ा विश्वास. Okay, so he's basically talking about that Pariksha, the Prime Minister has this interaction with students where he's going to be talking about how to deal with exam stress. So Aman Chopra has done a debate on that, discussion on that. 7-minute discussion it is, from what I can see, कि भाई छात्र are very happy कि मोदी जी हमारी क्लास ले रहे हैं. Of course, Baba Bageshwar Dham is still in news. 13 hours ago he's done हिंदू राष्ट्र पर बाबा बागेश्वर का अश्वमेध. सो ही स्टिल टॉकिंग अबाउट हिंदू राष्ट्र और बाबा बागेश्वर क्या बोल रहे हैं. रिपब्लिक टीवी अर्नब ऑन द डिबेट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट #2024 टूल किट. सो ही इज टॉकिंग अबाउट ऑल आउट प्रोवोकेशन ओवर द BBC documentary. So that's the level of television news debates. It's such an important story. I can't stress enough. I mean, just look at the front page that I've got for you guys. कहाँ गया? हाँ, Indian Express front page. If you look at it, look at the first 3 stories. Adani, LIC linked to Adani, and again Adani. This is a very important story. It has severe impact everywhere. And our most prominent faces on television news are discussing Baba Bageshwar. They are discussing Hindu खतरे में है. They are discussing toolkit. कि BBC documentary क्यों दिखा रहे हैं. Obviously it's toolkit, it can't be free will of students of showing that. And that brings me to very neatly to my point on why we do television news coverage, why we critique them. A lot of you ask that why do you do TV Newsance? What is the purpose of this? Why are you talking about what others are doing? So News Laundry was founded in 2012. The name itself, News Laundry, means news ki dhulai. We started off in 2012. When no one was really talking about what was happening in the media, but we used to have shows like Clothesline by Madhu Trehan, which would look at what television news was doing. Back then, the big stars were, of course, Barkha Dutt, Rajdeep, Sagrika. So, you know, we would train our eyes on them and look at how they are reporting on issues. And the aim was that the media questions everyone. In some cases, like Aman Chopra's case, he's only questioning Muslims and he's only questioning opposition. But the role of the media is that you question everyone. You question big businesses, you question politicians, you question sports people, Bollywood stars. You scrutinize all aspects of society. So there should be someone also to scrutinize how the media is functioning. One of the very important things that we used to do, and we have this thing called Who Owns Your Media. Like I talked about NDTV, how they have basically, you can say, ignored the Hindenburg report. It's important to understand why media ignores certain stories and why it amplifies certain stories, because there are business interests at play also. So Who Owns Your Media looks at who owns your media literally. कि भाई अगर आप मीडिया ये कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं, रिपब्लिक टीवी कंज्यूम, तो उनके शेयर होल्डर्स कौन हैं, उनके इन्वेस्टर्स कौन हैं, वो हु इज़ मेकिंग मनी आउट ऑफ रिपब्लिक, एंड उनके बिजनेस इंटरेस्ट से क्या रिपब्लिक टीवी कवरेज भी इन्फ्लुएंस होती है या नहीं, ये हम सबको जानने का हक है. जैसे BQ प्राइम में मैंने बोला क्लियरली डिस्क्लोजर दिया है, देव गिवन अ क्लियर डिस्क्लोजर. सो इट्स अ गुड प्रैक्टिस. सो दैट्स समथिंग दैट वी have tried to encourage through our reporting in News Laundry, that whenever there's a conflict of interest in the media, please put out a full disclosure. And of course, critiquing television news for us became very important after 2016, especially I think for me. I've been in News Laundry since 2014 and 2016, and I used to write a lot on television news, and then by 2017 end, we started this show, Television News, because I think what had started happening was through television news, after the whole JNU sedition row, news anchors started taking very strong positions when it comes to anyone questioning the government or dissenting against the government. So if you're a student in JNU, even if you're not involved in the sloganeering that happened, but you're just questioning the Modi government or its stance on anything, you are immediately labelled as, traitor. People like Sudha Bhardwaj, who's now out on bail, was literally labelled Naxal, and she's done so much work, legal work, so much, and I've done an interview with her which you must watch. It's a 2-hour long interview, but her work really involves working with the most marginalized sections of society and giving them legal help. So, calling, but of course questioning the government, so calling her, a Naxalite or a threat. Shaheen Bagh women protesting, calling them a threat. Farmers protesting, calling them Khalistani. We know everything that happened with Riya and Sushant Singh almost for 4 to 5 months when we were reeling under a pandemic. Television news were focused on how she's this, Vish Kanya, jisne barbad kar diya kisi ko, and how they made it out to be a case of murder, even though everything was leading, there was really no proof for it being a murder, and then it was later concluded by the CBI also there was a suicide. So a large section of media, and this is very, television media has a lot of reach. It reaches, across India. It has a lot of hold on people. A research by CSDS says that television news is still the most preferred mode of consuming news for most people. So whenever someone wants to consume news or see what's happening around them, they are unlikely to pick up a newspaper. They are more likely to switch on the TV. So television news has a huge impact. And then when you have most anchors, like I just went through what Aman is debating, what Navika is debating, what Arnab is debating when such a big story is unfolding, when you have news anchors who give up on that role of public interest, of really questioning powerful people, and when they turn against the people that they're supposed to be reporting for. So news's big aim is public interest, but if you turn against the public, you start questioning the public, कहीं protest हो रहा है या कहीं एग्जाम लीक की वजह से प्रोटेस्ट हो रहा है, आप स्टूडेंट्स को ही क्वेश्चन करने लग रहे हो कि तुम क्यों कर रहे हो, तुम एंटी नेशनल हो. किसान अगर किसी चीज़ से खुश नहीं है और उनका राइट है डेमोक्रेटिक कि वो प्रोटेस्ट करें, तो यू स्टार्ट क्वेश्चनिंग देम ओनली कि भाई यू आर खालिस्तानी. व्हेन यू स्टार्ट जस्ट टर्न दैट होल purpose of television, of journalism around, which I think a lot of television media is doing, I think it's very important for us to call them out. So with TV Newsance, we've tried to do that over the past 5 years. We've tried to fact check, we've tried to bust propaganda, we've tried to look at how news is continually distracting you. Like we had done this one very big research which talked about how in a year, I think in the months that we had looked at data where unemployment was a huge issue, you didn't have a single debate on unemployment, like zero. Many of these anchors did under debates on unemployment. So when news stops covering issues that impact you, and when they start wholesale distracting you, that every evening they're just going to talk about how Hindu khatre mein hai, so it's important, we think, for us to talk about it. We are not above criticism, and that is what this show is going to be all about. I think we can, it's half an hour almost, so I've blabbed a lot now. We can take some questions from you. So I'm just going to go. Okay. So I have some questions coming on WhatsApp, which I'm going to take. I hope I gave a good brief on what Newsance does and what News Laundry does. And a lot of you who ask us this question, ki tum kyun kar rahe ho ye, have an answer. If you still have a specific question on it, please send me your question and I'll respond to you. Now, questions. If Adani Group files for bankruptcy, what will be the impact on the Indian economy? What is your take on budget which comes out sooner considering Adani fiasco? So, I don't look, and there's a very interesting piece in Bloomberg that I read that basically Adani's growth story is in some ways linked to India's growth story because of the sheer number of work that he's picked up, infrastructure projects, airports. So again, the Hindenburg research report, I don't think the good way to look at it is कि वो bankrupt or will he fail or will everything tank. That is what they might be betting on. But I think the good way for us to approach this is that there are serious questions being asked with data, with documents on India's largest conglomerate. So we must scrutinize this, and there should be inquiry. And instead of saying that it's malicious or it's badly timed, Adani Group should really come out, should work on more transparency, a point by point rebuttal on everything that they have said. Open yourself up to scrutiny. SEBI should step in and say, okay, we are going to, these are some practices that we think could be bad corporate governance, or these are some things that we should be looking into. So they should step in. So I think the point of Hindenburg and how we should approach it is also that we should see what it says. It's not कि वो bankrupt हो जाए या खत्म हो जाए या no one wants that, and I think it will be really bad for banks, public sector banks. It will be bad for sentiments, investor sentiments. It will really shake up a lot of things, and that's never a good thing for the economy or for anyone. So I think when something is being pointed out, it's good to fix it right there and then. It's good to institute inquiries right there and then. It's good to ask hard questions right there and then, and that is the job of the media. So the media, we don't have to say we don't have to take sides in this. For or against, but we have to evaluate it, what it's saying, and ask hard questions so that the bubble which Hindenburg is saying will burst, it's just that situation is salvaged before it gets really bad, right? And that is the job of most journalists. So that's my thing. We're going to have a piece on the budget very soon. So I think it's going to be an election. I don't know how much Adani, I'm really not an expert on finance and business. It's not my beat. But I think because it's going to be in election year 2024, this budget is really going to focus on how they can lure, how they can get, it's going to be that cliche that people say that it's going to be an election budget. So I think we're going to see that quite a bit. Okay, super thanks by Praveen Darde, thank you. How do people manage to survive despite being such a fierce critic of Modi and Godi media? We manage to survive because we are completely ad free. We don't have to depend on Adani ji's front page ads. I'll keep showing you that. We don't have to depend on Adani ji's front page ad. We don't take any government advertising. And what is the logic of it? Why do we not take any advertisements? Because when we started off in 2012, we realized that a big reason why the media is the way it is because people don't pay for news and they have to rely on advertising. So there are two things that can happen if you rely on advertising. One is that you are beholden to governments and corporations. So the fact that Hindenburg has come out with this report, a very detailed, exhaustive report, and not an Indian news outlet is something to think of. When you're beholden, when a lot of your chunk of your revenue comes from government, comes from big corporations, it's difficult to report on them as fiercely as maybe say Hindenburg has said. I'm not saying that people have not reported on Adani. There are reports that have come out in Business Standard that I have read. From time to time, we've had some or the other, reporting on Adani, but that kind of fierce, pointed questions being asked of Adani in the report, I haven't seen that kind of coverage in Indian media. So back to advertisements, two reasons. The second is, so one is corporate pressure builds up. There have been many cases in the past where, for example, when Outlook published the Neera Radia tapes, it is said that the Tatas stopped advertising with them and then they lost a lot of revenue. So you are very vulnerable. Your reporting can lead to big people in corporations getting upset with you, and that could lead to a loss of huge revenue. And basically, it could lead to a loss of your existence because you're existing on those ads. The second thing is government advertising. Now, why we've heard so much about this of, how governments give ads to favorable media. So if you write good things about us, we'll give you lots of front page ads. आपका धंधा अच्छा चलेगा. आपने बारे में हमने कुछ गलत लिखा, कुछ इन्वेस्टिगेशन छाप दी, क्वेश्चन किया, तो हम ads हटा देंगे and your business can tank. So that is used by all governments. Some governments are better at using it, but all governments are very, in the center and state, everywhere, they use advertisements mostly to, as a carrot and stick approach towards the media. That you write good things about us, we'll give you lots of ads. Chandi, Chandi, you don't write good things about us, we'll pull out all our ads and then you can suffer. So those are the two ways in which advertising can control. The second is that for us on YouTube, why don't we take ads on YouTube? If we start taking ads, how do you get ads? You have to get hits. So जितने आपको hits मिलेंगे उतना ही आपको अच्छे ads और उतना ही अच्छा revenue मिलेगा ads से. And so then you go down chasing hits. So I'll put a clickbait thumbnail. I'll say something which is completely irrelevant to what I'm actually doing. I'll blast you with content day in and day out so that I can, get more hits. So we also, as a news organization, didn't want to chase hits. So we have been completely ad-free right from the beginning. It's been 10 years now, and we're completely supported by subscriptions. A link to our subscriptions is going to be sent to you in the chat. And what do you get with that subscription? You get to power our reporting. Like, I hope you've checked out Joshimat reporting that we've done with Hridesh Joshi. It's very detailed. He's not just stuck to Joshimat, he's also gone to villages around Joshimat and shown that these cracks and these villages that are sinking is not limited to the Joshimat area. This is a big crisis that Uttarakhand is facing. So reports like that also completely powered by subscribers. So because what happens is when you pay and we know ki bhai we have subscribers supporting us, then we don't have to go to Baba Bageshwar Dham and interview that Baba for hits or for TRPs. We can stick to the Joshimat story and we can keep reporting on it because we know that we are dependent on only subscription money, and through that subscription money we can survive. So we don't have to chase nonsensical news. So that is why subscriptions are important to us. Through that subscription you can power our reporting. There are some very interesting interviews like the recent one that Atul did with Ravish, Abhinandan's famous interview with Salvatore, my interview with Sudha, Tavleen Singh, with Supriya Sule. All these interviews are specially for our subscribers only. So you can get access to our paywalled content like our interviews. We have a weekly podcast called News Laundry Hafta, which is me, Abhinandan, Raman, who's our managing editor, and a special guest who comes on board. Like this week we had Akar Patel and we talked about the BBC documentary. And we have, every week we have a guest discussing the news of the week. That is also only for subscribers. And of course then we have events where you can come and meet us and have fun. So subscriptions is how we survive. So we can be critical of anyone, but we also want to be fair. So it's criticism, but with the understanding that it comes with some responsibility, not just say anything about anyone. And interestingly, though we've had 2 IT surveys, most of the cases that we're battling right now are by news channels. So India Today and Times Now, who were very upset and who said, how can you call us out? How can you say things about us? So that's in the court. But it's news channels also who get upset with us. It's not just the Modi government. Okay, how can we help accept monetary subscription? Good question, because I know a lot of you people watch Newsance and you don't subscribe. I don't know why. Some of you have monetary constraints, so I understand that. That's totally fine. Some of you are students, so it's totally fine. Student life is meant to, I don't expect you to subscribe when you're a student and you're not earning. So when you start earning, please, first thing you should do is subscribe to News Laundry. How can you help us? Please, very important to like our videos. So like this video also. The more you like, the more people will watch us. So share our stuff, our reports, our videos that you like. Actively engage with us. Don't just watch something and move on to watching the next thing like most of us do on Instagram or on Twitter or on YouTube shorts. We just keep scrolling, we keep watching, and we don't, So actively engage with the stuff we put out. If you like our interview, share it with people. Make it a point कि सारे family WhatsApp groups में डाल दो. Nuisance के सारे videos. Like all our Nuisance videos. Tell your friends who don't know about us कि hey, have you checked out News Laundry? What will happen is the more people discover us, the more people are likely to subscribe. So ultimately, it will help us with our subscriptions. Because if 100 people discover us and even if 30 say कि चलो यार अच्छा stuff है, मुझे पसंद है, मैं subscribe करूँगा, तो वो हमारे को help करेगा. So please spread the word about News Laundry. Like our stuff. Engage with it. Don't just passively consume it. Engage with it. How are you, Manisha? How do you keep yourself mentally healthy? Honestly, it's been really, it's tough. Doing Nuisance is tough. We have a team which also suffers a lot along with me. A team of researchers. 2 editors who have stuck with news since the very beginning, since 2017, Sam and Satish. Big thumbs up to both of them because they are really the rock of this show. I shoot on Thursdays and we finish shooting by 12 in the afternoon, and they work till Friday very late night, 3 o'clock, sometimes 4 o'clock morning, Saturday early morning, and the show is up at Saturday 11. So we shoot very quickly and we produce very quickly. It's literally like 2 days, back to back intense work, and they've been doing this for 5 years. Right from the beginning. So they are very important to my show, and thank you to them. We have researchers also, producers. A lot of them come and go because the nature of the work is also hard. Consuming so much television news is not very happy and healthy. But that said, we do it. How do I take care of my mental health? I try that at least Saturday, Sundays, I switch off from news and I don't watch anything, and I don't watch anything. So I may read, but I try not watching anything on Saturdays and Sundays, so I take that break. I think one of the things that I also wanted to discuss with you guys is that do you want this to be a weekly show or do you want it to be a fortnightly show? Because we also think, sometimes I do think that, okay, now enough people know कि TV news में क्या हो रहा है. लोगों को पता है कि ये एंकर क्या बोलने वाला है. मुझे तो I can predict now कि आज शाम को ये होगा. So, do you want us to do something else than just look at anchors, or do you want to continue with our very focused scrutiny on television news? Because that gives us also a break. If we, 1 or 2 nuisance episodes, we don't talk about what the media is doing, so it saves us also. We're not watching news that week. We can do something else. So 2 questions for you. Should it be a fortnightly show? So once in 2 weeks. If you want it to be a weekly show, do you want it to be only on TV news, or do you want us to do anything else? Weekly, please, weekly, please. Weekly, but at your own pace. So we can't do at our own pace because the thing is that if you want an audience, you have to have a fixed time and a fixed day. So if we shoot on Thursday, we have to release it on Saturday at 11. And guys, honestly, it's very hard. So we have like 1 editors. Now we have 2 editors, like often. We have like 1 or 2 producers. Then there's me. And the producers do the researchers also. So we are literally like a team of 5 people, 5.5 people. We have a designer also, of course, who works on all the images, all the fun images and all the thumbnails. So it's a lot of work to take out a 20-minute show in 2 days with 5 people. So I hope you recognize the hard work that we do for you. And the least you can do is share our stuff, because it's a lot of hard work. We are not a big news organization like NDTV or like Times. We are small. We have very few people and we work very hard. And even today on Saturday, I have like 1, 2, 3, 4 people sitting here after, putting in their almost night shifts from yesterday. So it's a small organization. We work very hard. So please like our stuff, what we do, engage with it actively. Of course, subscribe. That's the best thing that you can do for us. Just subscribe. 300 rupees a month. That's it. You get access to content. You can watch stuff. You can attend our events. You can do a lot of fun things with that subscription. अगर आप 300 रुपये मतलब महीने में आप ऐसे ही खर्च कर देते होगे बहुत बारी, तो आप न्यूज़ के लिए और ऐसी न्यूज़ जो सच में आपके मुद्दे उठा रही है या बात कर रही है मीडिया में क्या चल रहा है, क्या गलत है, क्या सही चल रहा है, क्योंकि मीडिया इतना इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट है डेमोक्रेसी का. अगर हम ये सब कर रहे हैं तो 300 रुपये ज़्यादा नहीं है. आई थिंक यू कैन अफोर्ड इट. सम ऑफ यू एटलीस्ट कैन. सो प्लीज़ सब्सक्राइब. डोंट बी लेजी. सब्सक्राइब टू न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री. And if you cannot, if you have monetary constraints, then please engage with us. Share our stuff, like our stuff. I'm going to quickly look at some of the comments we're getting. I think questions, that's it, right?
Quite a few people are asking about Meghnad as well.
Oh, lots of people asking about Meghnad, okay. We really miss Meghnad too. In fact, I sometimes watch the old nuisance episodes and it's just hilarious. The stuff he's done for us, Ramdev से लेके पता नहीं क्या क्या उसको हमने कराया, योगा कराया है, ब्रेक डांस कराया है, बहुत कुछ कराया है. So guys, he's going to be part of the episode 200. That is the only thing I can tell you for now. He's moved on to IVM podcast, so you can catch him there. He does podcasts. He has his own show coming up also, which seems very interesting. I saw the promos of that. But he's going to be part of Nuisance 200 special episode. न्यूसेंस न्यू एपिसोड कब रिलीज़ होगा? अगले सैटरडे रिलीज़ होगा. हम शूट करेंगे अगले हफ्ते और स्पेशल एपिसोड है, इसलिए थोड़ा टाइम लग रहा है. तो लिखने में टाइम लग रहा है, सोचने में टाइम लग रहा है कि क्या करना चाहिए. सो वो अगले सैटरडे न्यू एपिसोड नंबर 200 रिलीज़ हो जाएगा. सो प्लीज़ वॉच दैट. ओके, वी आइडेंटिफाइड सैटरडेज एज न्यूसेंस डे एंड वेडनेसडे इज टिप्पणी. सो वीकली. ओके, पीपल आर सेइंग कि आई कांट टेक अ ब्रेक basically. Is NDTV still watchable? Yeah, it's watchable. I mean, they're still doing their bulletins. They're still doing, I mean, there's no like big change that I spot. But yeah, on this Adani thing, I do think that NDTV with Pranay Roy at the head and with Ravish doing prime time, we would have had an episode on the Hindenburg research in Hindi. It would have reached millions of people, and we haven't had that. So I do think that's a difference. Possibly Ravish will do an episode on his own YouTube channel. Alternate week of TV news and live newspaper reading. So some people are saying newspapers bhi pad lo. So theek hai, that's also good that maybe we can read newspapers. I wish you should start Google ads. No. So like we said, we are completely ad free. We don't want to take ads because we don't want to be dependent on governments and corporations, and we don't want to do clickbait, because this is what happens if I start taking YouTube ads. Then inevitably I'll think कि अरे ad कम आया है, अरे क्योंकि hits कम है, अरे hits बनाने के लिए क्या करें, चलो बागेश्वर बाबा का इंटरव्यू कर लेती हूँ तो मेरे hits आ जाएंगे, तो फिर मुझे ads मिल जाएंगे. तो ये सब हमें नहीं करना है. We don't want to do clickbait. We don't want to do just be driven कि viral content क्या है, हम viral कैसे हो जाएं. हमको we want to be watchable. We want that more and more people watch us, more and more people discover us. But while doing news and satire shows and adding value, we don't want to chase viral stuff. That's not our thing. So we don't want to do that, and we want you to subscribe to us. Subscribe. It's very important. Okay, what else can I read? What comments are we getting? Anything, guys? Any feedback on nuisance? Please feel free. We have 15 more minutes left. I've given my long lecture on Adani and Hindenburg research. So now you guys can give us your feedback. We watch Sansad Watch Back. Even I want Sansad Watch Back. I do think that that show had a lot of value. But I think that show only Meghnad can do. So it will be hard for us to replace it. Don't buy newspapers. Instead, keep Raddi to display. No, please buy newspapers. I think the best way to consume news for all of you is newspapers. It gives you all the information you need about your city, about major important things that are happening, and it will give you perspective and context also. So you should subscribe to newspapers. I prefer reading rather than doing e-papers and doing it online, because I think online we have a lot of distractions. You can open a website and start reading news, but then you'll suddenly go to Instagram and start checking out your reels, and then you suddenly go to shorts, and then you'll come back to the paper. So there's a lot of distraction. I think morning it's a very good habit to read 2 newspapers with your chai ya your coffee, and stay away from all other distractions of the screen and the mobile phone. It's good for health also. You're doing great work. Just wanted to say that you're very beautiful and sweet. Thank you. This year might be very busy for you guys. Election in 8 states. Yes, it's going to be very busy for us. We have another show called Another Election Show. So we'll be on the road for quite some time. So we will be going to Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Karnataka also. The upcoming 3 elections we will cover. We will have freelancers covering it. You want interview with Rajdeep, Ravish, Faye, Palki Sharma. So Ravish का तो interview हमने कर लिया है. Faye का मैं करूँगी. Rajdeep also ask, Palki also I'll ask. बरखा का interview मैंने करा है journalist में से, and Tavleen Singh का interview मैंने करा है, which I really liked. I had a lot of fun talking to her. You can just throw in a link of Tavleen Singh's interview. I'm telling my good colleague on social media to do that. His name is Shwet. So check out my interview with Barkha and Tavleen. और रवीश का तो कर दिया है ना अतुल ने, so you should watch that. Okay. Is Madhu still with NL? No, she's not. She's retired. But I hope she has our goodwill. No, not she has our goodwill. I hope she has talking crap. What I mean to say is I'm sure she has our best interests in her heart, and she looks at us happily wherever she is. I mean, she's in Delhi. I know she's in Delhi. But hopefully watches us and feels proud of what we're doing, or feels angry at what we're doing. That's all fine. No, but she's not for News Laundry. Can you have subscription only for TV Newsance and Tippany? But see, it's free. You don't need subscription. But if you like what we're doing on TV Newsance and Tippani, तो आप News Laundry को subscribe करोगे तो it will help Tippani and Newsance only. Because it's the same News Laundry team that's producing this. So, I'll just have some water. I've talked too much. So, Newsance and Tippani are free. We hope to keep them free forever. But if you like what we do there, then support News Laundry, because News Laundry is producing those shows, right? And we're not taking any advertisements from YouTube, from anywhere. So you must support us by subscribing to us. Do you have a Reddit presence? No, we don't have a Reddit presence, but we used to do these AMAs, which maybe we should do again one day. It's fun. We used to do these Reddit Ask Me Anything, and it was fun. Okay, Asha says, I love News Laundry, have subscribed. Thank you, Asha. Regularly watch Newsance and Tippani. Love the conversation with Ravish. Keep up your fine work and thank you for all you do. Thank you so much, Asha, for subscribing and supporting us and watching us. We need more people like Asha. आशा हमें बहुत आशा देती हैं, तो अगर ऐसे और लोग हैं तो हमारा बहुत लाइफ ईजी हो जाएगा, हम और चीज़ें भी कर पाएंगे. बिकॉज सी अगेन वी आर अबाउट इन टोटल वी आर अबाउट 50 पीपल इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. आई एम काउंटिंग एवरीवन close to 50 or maybe 60, 55, 60. I'm counting everyone involved, like everyone. So it's very small. And to grow from here, we want to have more reporters on the ground. So why should we only talk about Times Now क्या कर रहे हैं? हमें खुद भी वहाँ जाके रिपोर्टिंग करनी चाहिए. तो दिल्ली में हम करते हैं, जैसे JNU वाले जब स्क्रीनिंग हो रही थी, so our reporter Ashwini and Anmol were there. They reported on it. Like Hridesh, we have in Joshimath. So we have reporters on the ground also, but we'd really like to cover all of India. Whenever something happens, we want like a team that can just rush there. But all this costs money and it's, it's intense. What we do currently also costs resources, having lights, having a set, having people whose salaries have to be paid. I have to be paid also. So all this is resource, and when you're completely ad free, we don't have like big money pouring in from here and there, कि एक ad ले लिया और हमारे खूब सारे चांदी हो गया. We are rejecting all of that because we believe that news consumers will support this journalistic work that we are doing. And the thing is that, look, on average, we have like sometimes like if an episode of Newsance hits 1 million, some of them have. Out of that, if even 10% subscribe, we're happy, So we don't want, we'd love to have bulk subscriptions, but to start with, even if a few of you who watch us regularly subscribe, it will really help us. And you can subscribe for a month and check out what we have. And then if you think, okay, wow, I like the stuff that they're doing, it's really entertaining or it's really informative, and I think I want to continue supporting this work, I want to continue consuming News Laundry stuff that is behind the paywall, then you can extend your membership and your subscription. But give it a try. Abhinandan Modi का spoof क्यों नहीं बनाता? I don't think Abhinandan can be Modi, please. No, not Modi ji. I don't think he can do that. But he can do RSS really well, if you know who I mean. Lower the subscription amount and people will join. 300 is already low, I think. So why don't you start with a month and then see. If you think it's expensive, it's not worth your time, you're most welcome to get out of it, No one's going to hold you to it. Rubika Liaquat or Anjana interview, I'd love to, honestly, but I don't think they'll give it. Anjana's company has sued us, so I don't think she'll come and give me an interview. I don't think Rubika will also give an interview. Most of news anchors don't give interviews. And of course, when we do an interview, it's not what we do on Newsance. We'll really want to understand their journey, how they became anchors, what do they think of TV news, what are the pressures that they... So it should be a conversation, and I would be very happy to do that. Subscribe to Quarterly. Yay! Kunal says just subscribe to Quarterly. Kudos. Thank you so much, Kunal. Thank you. We need more people like Kunal. Thank you so much for subscribing Quarterly. Definitely check out NL Hafta if you've subscribed, because that's a weekly podcast. I think you will enjoy it. It gives you the wrap of the whole week. And check out our interviews. You can go on the interview section and watch all our interviews. I mean, we have so many fun interviews. that we've done. Like it's binge-worthy content for like at least 6 months. Truly, we have some fabulous interviews from 2000, back in 2012. In fact, if there's a very interesting interview of Ravish that Madhu had done, which you guys should watch, where Ravish is talking about Lutyens media back in 2012. So he is basically saying about this mentality of being elite, and just talking about what is happening in Lutyens. So yeah, Lutyens media, Arnab and all started talking about it much later. It's a very interesting interview between Madhu and Ravish, and they are talking about elitism in the media back in 2012 when UPA was in power. So you can watch a lot of stuff, guys. If you subscribe, there's a lot of stuff waiting for you to be discovered. NL and Tippani are funny and informative. That's the crucial success mantra. Not that I need to tell you. Can we have a similar field report a la Samdesh? So I don't, I think reporting needs a bit of seriousness with which you approach any subject. Sometimes fun, you can have fun in vox pops, like when you're interviewing people in a garden or whatever. But I think when you're reporting, it needs to be approached with, it should be interesting to watch, but it should be approached with a little bit of seriousness. You know, a lot of people do these, they go to rallies, they'll make fun of one supporter or the other supporter. Sometimes they say things and it becomes funny, that's a different thing. But I think reporting job should be to really make you understand what the world around you is. So I wouldn't be very comfortable with a reporter who goes out just for fun. It's a serious thing. Tippani and Newsance, because we are a commentary show, so we use fun and comedy and we try and do satire and we try and drive home our point. And the problem is that because television news is becoming so ridiculous, so Newsance ka bhi ridiculous quotient बढ़े जा रहा है with how ridiculous television news is. So those two shows will remain like that. But I think reporters, when they go on the ground, they should be able to talk to all the people seriously. They should be able to get all sides of a story. And I'll just give you, if you go on our YouTube and you go to the ground report section. Now, a lot of you probably only come to Newsance and Tippani ka section and go away. But ground report का section एक जोशीमठ and beyond का section है, जहाँ पे हृदेश की एक वीडियो रिपोर्ट आई है 5 दिन पहले, जो ये जोशीमठ नहीं है. I wouldn't want Hridesh to go there and start having fun, right? So it's a very serious issue what people are going through. Their house is cracking. One of the person in that video says that आप CM को बोलो कि इस घर में 2 दिन रह के दिखाए, फिर हम रहेंगे. So these kind of reports require a certain amount of seriousness with which you approach them. They should also be watchable, but we don't want to make them like funny or whatever. When you go to ground reports, we have a report from JNU कि BBC documentary जब दिखाई थी तो क्या हुआ था. We have a report, a ground report जब Delhi mayor के elections postpone हुए जा रहे हैं तो what's happening there. We have a report कि G20 सम्मेलन में लेके मजदूर कैसे how the Delhi administration is handling this problem. Problem नहीं, but this कि सारी सड़कें साफ होनी चाहिए और यहाँ पे कोई लोग नहीं दिखने चाहिए. So the headline is दिल्ली मजदूर क्यों बने कैदी. It's a very good report by Anmol. You should watch it. So these are the reports that we do, and we want to continue doing that stuff. Now it's almost time. I'm just going to give last 5 minutes for your feedback. I've talked a lot. I don't know how much of sense I made.
We've got 3 super thanks also. 100, 179 and 200 rupees.
Okay. कहाँ पे ऊपर? I can't see.
Send it to you on WhatsApp.
Okay, wait.
You can see the questions as well.
Oh, we have questions. More questions. Guys, don't send us super chat. I'll answer your questions anyway. Just subscribe. No, 200 तुम यहाँ super chat में waste कर रहे हो तो 300 का subscription ही ले लो. It's better. You'll get some perks also. Super chat just goes I don't know where. We don't even. I mean, it's not something that we care about. Subscribe to us because in 300 rupees you can get perks, and you also support good independent media. So, question is Modi. Sorry, not Modi of my family. Most of my family group people do not understand English or urban Hindi. Small town complexes. They will hate me if I share this in group, as if I am showing off being educated. So you can share our Hindi reports and you can share Tippani. वो तो हिंदी में ही है. Nuisance, I don't know. I think it should stay English. I think that's the best way. Tell me what you think. If you guys think कि पूरा हिंदी में होना चाहिए या पूरा इंग्लिश में होना चाहिए, या is it irritating कि इंग्लिश में है. So if you want a change in language, ये भी आप फीडबैक में लिख दीजिए. मैं सारे फीडबैक पढ़ूंगी इस लाइव के बाद, सो प्लीज़ गिव मी योर फीडबैक. Has News Laundry considered opening up a Patreon? Would love to see some BTS content on it. At the same time, support you guys and gals. I think we have considered Patreon, but I think we want to stick with our subscriptions, like main subscription thing. So that's the best option we have now. I don't know Patreon why we are averse to joining it, but maybe when you become a member of News Laundry subscription, then we do special Zoom chats with all our subscribers. So there, the person who handles our subscriptions, Chitranshu, can tell you ki why we haven't joined Patreon and why are we sticking to News Laundry subscriptions. But it is mostly because we want people to come to the website, discover our paywalled stuff. So it's not ki aap donate kar do hame. We're not asking for donations. We're saying subscribe. These are the things you'll get when you subscribe. You'll get podcasts, interviews, lots of stuff behind the paywall. And we think this is valuable for your time and your money. So consume this and continue to subscribe us and also support the free stuff that we do, that which is ground reporting and all that. The BTS content, we're going to have a BTS for Newsance, celebrating our 200th episode. Maybe we'll start putting more frequent BTS because that could be fun. It's a fun way of. Can you join Abhinandan and Awful and Awesome podcast? Yeah, why not? If there's something I'm going to watch Pathaan on Sunday and he's watching Pathaan. So if I feel really have something to say, then I can maybe join him. Is there any way we can help with free volunteer work? Free volunteer work, yes. All the volunteers of News Laundry watchers and Nuisance watchers, your free work is that you like this video. You like all our videos when you watch them, you share them. Please just don't be passive consumers कि देख के मज़े लेके फिर निकल गए. प्लीज़ देखो और शेयर करो, लाइक करो, हमारा वर्ड स्प्रेड करो, लोगों को बोलो कि न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री जैसी एक चीज़ है और हम ये काम करते हैं और हमारे वीडियोस देखने चाहिए. तो जब भी आपको न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री का कुछ पसंद आता है, कोई भी शो कुछ भी पसंद आता है, तो उसको प्लीज़ शेयर करिए और लाइक करिए. दैट इज़ हाउ यू कैन वॉलंटियर फॉर अस. एंड that's it, guys. Sorry, time is up now. It's 12 o'clock. I'm going to read all your comments. So thank you so much. So once this chat is done, this live is done, I mean, it'll be done in the next 2 minutes. Thank you guys for staying with me for this 1 hour. I hope I was of some use and you didn't waste your time this 1 hour. And send us your feedback on Nuisance. Like I said, under this comment section, you can tell us what you think about Nuisance, what do you want to change. You can tell us language में change होना चाहिए, content में change होना चाहिए, format में change होना चाहिए. Whatever changes you want, we are very open to criticism. You can be as brutal as you want, but please don't abuse us because that will make us feel sad. So, but give us your hardcore feedback. We'll take it and we'll try and improve ourselves. We'll become better. We'll become a great show. We'll become the greatest show. We'll make Nuisance great again, like Trump says. And so give us all your suggestions. Please, please, please subscribe to News Laundry, guys. Please log on to newslaundry.com, subscribe. Check out some of the stuff we have which is behind the paywall. I think you'll enjoy it. So, हफ्ता, अगर आपको हफ्ता का छोटा हफ्ता सुनना है वो YouTube में है, तो एक छोटा स्निपेट जाता है, उसका प्लेलिस्ट है छोटा हफ्ता. So you can listen to छोटा हफ्ता. If you think it's nice, you can subscribe and listen to the full thing. You can watch our interviews. Like I said, Ravish's interview from back in 2012 with Madhu. And Ravish's interview in 2023 with Atul, and you can watch and compare. And you can see how much has changed in these years. So watch our stuff, like us, subscribe to News Laundry. Thank you so much for being supporters of TV Newsance. Thank you so much for watching TV Newsance, for all the lovely comments that you send us. We are really, really grateful that we've been able to become 200 with such a small team, and we've been able to keep on doing what we're doing over the past 5 years. So thank you for your support and your love. Have a great weekend. Have fun. Ta-da.